All right, hopefully it doesn't rain on us and I can get this done. It's been one of them days. We've been real busy. I thought this week maybe we'd talk about the front, where the orchard is. It takes like 5 trees to have an orchard, and I think we got 16. You can count them if you want. Um, but each of these are kind of planted in a guild. There's all kinds of sage. I planted some daylilies and some daffodils in here with them. Um, but we got quite a few trees. We got some pear trees. That one was just a stick in the ground, much like this one is now that just got put in. But that was a stick in the ground tool, honestly, this year. This is the peach tree that I talked about before that I had to take. There was like a fungal rot that causes leaf curl that I had to take out of there. But we're looking like we got peaches so far. We had peaches last year on this one, and then we had a drought, and they all fell. So maybe we'll get 1 or 2 peaches out of them. And this is usually yellow. It needs to be cut back. It looks awful. So it'll get cut back. But part of the reason to have this channel was to not kind of hide when stuff looks awful. So that's just how it is sometimes in the garden. This is another peach. I planted them and I can't remember. Yes, this is another peach. It still has a long way to go. We'll talk about that stuff another time. But this all needs to be weeded and cut again. This is a red currant. There's also bushes here. So there's some mostly red currants and a few other things going on in here. I said this all needs to be cut back. That's in part because of the red clover, which we'll see more of here in a minute than you might have seen before. This is another, what is this? Apple tree. That's an apple tree. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But we also have a lot of ornamental stuff up here. The thing that looks like it's going to be really crazy this year is this plum tree. As you can see, there are lots of plums coming. I should probably thin those out, and I may do that. That's a lot of plums. I'm not sure how they're supposed to produce in the long run. Again, more plums here. You can see that. We'll talk about that thing in a minute, but the dappled willow is kind of framed behind it. I came through and I did some pruning earlier this week, which normally I would wait a little later to do, but because they were already fruiting, I wanted to, if I was going to cut it off, I figured I might as well cut it off. I'm really just trying, with fruit trees, always trying to open them up and to keep branches from crossing. But yeah, that dappled willow is absolutely beautiful. It was probably the first shrub that I picked out and bought here. And it has done fantastic. That's about as big as I'm going to let it get, and it's about the smallest of how big it gets. And I'll probably start pruning it throughout the year, which is supposed to help bring about those beautiful like pink blooms or pink leaves. They're not even blooms. That's why I love it. This is the other plum tree, or another that is also doing really well. So if these all fruit like they're supposed to, and we can keep the birds from getting to them, we might be pretty good on plums. This, probably an apple, probably not. Who knows? I can't remember. It's got a lot of yarrow planted around it that's coming up. And that's good. That's why probably when I come through here next, I won't come through with the lawnmower, I'll come through with the weed eater. That way I can be real selective about what I cut, because I know there's yarrow. There's red clover that's come up, and I want it to go to seed to spread even more. There's some red clover coming. I don't know if you can see that, but that's probably red clover. I'm just starting out. That is another apple, I know. This is another apple. I think all these are apples. There's a pear in here somewhere, but I forget which one is which. But these trees, I planted every single one of them. Up here, there's a lot of good drainage. Which one is that? Yeah, that's the blood peach. That's the Indian blood peach. That's what that is. A little bit of fruit on it. Hopefully we get a couple. Like, I don't really expect a lot. So all these are on dwarf stock, or should be, ideally. And the idea is that you also have to stay on top of pruning them. So everything really, my head height or a little more, is as tall as I plan on letting it get. I've grown up and lived in places where you have, these gigantic fruit trees that they become too high for the normal person to pick, and then they fall on the ground and they become like wasp heaven, and it's just nasty and it smells and it's not good. So the idea is to keep all these, stay on top of these and keep them pruned down to where you can pick them by hand. So yeah, that's the plan. This is another thing we inherited. I hate it. It's like a lot of things here we inherited. It was let go. Like I cut it way back last year, and you see what it's already done. I'll probably cut it way back this year. I'm eventually going to cut it out altogether, or try to, because I just, I don't want it. And if it had been pruned right, it would be all right. But it wasn't, and it's almost too much work to try and fix it now. For me, someone who doesn't like it. Here we have another apple, and we have some nettle growing here. That is stinging nettle. Ask me how I know. I have touched it this year. So there's that. There's also comfrey coming up. I have some comfrey and nettle tea in the back that's been brewing since fall last year that we're really looking forward to. There's some more comfrey doing really well. The bees like it. They love it. Really. Got sage coming up in the middle here. There's sage everywhere. There was a little bit starting back there. It will come up everywhere. This is another apple that probably is going to get a good trim this year too. Those limbs I feel like are coming out more than I want them to. But there's fruit on them, so we'll let it go for now. But there's actually fruit this year. Last year, this was the only apple that bloomed, and it didn't, none of the others bloomed, so it didn't get cross-pollinated, and there was no fruit. Just beautiful blooms early in the spring. So that will be something that we're looking forward to a lot. And if you saw last week's video, you can see the red clover is all, crimson clover is all getting ready to go to seed, which is fantastic. That's what we want, is for that to go to seed. The azaleas are done. They're done and dying. Within here, you can't see it now because it's late in the evening, but the alpines are doing really well here. They always close up at night to withhold their moisture. It's really cool. But I'll come out and get some footage. That's one of my favorites when they're open. They're absolutely beautiful. So we look forward to that. I forget what she planted here. She'll tell me, she'll watch this video and be like, that's the whatever, and get on to me. Again, the irises are almost done too. We don't pull things out. We're not those kinds of gardeners, but that's, that's essentially the orchard, for lack of a better term. There's a couple cherries in the back. There's some nut trees around here that I've planted. There are some blackberry bushes that look like they're going to do really well. We'll look at them probably next week. The raspberries are coming back. And so, but this is where the orchard is, and where the front is, where sometimes needs the most work, but there's always so much to do everywhere. It's also where our bird feeders are, as you can see in our bird bath, which we're going to move the bird bath. It's too close to the feeders and it needs some shade. I might put it there to have it in the window that we all like to sit in and look. And speaking of, I don't know if you can see, I'm busted. Somebody is giving me like the dirty, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you be out there without me? I'm not even going to look at you right now, but I love you. But yeah, that's where she sits, Babe sits. We all kind of sit there and look out the windows. Yeah, she's upset. And that's gorgeous. That's a beautiful azalea. That one's doing well. Pretty sure that's an azalea. And we just put the window boxes in to bring more pollinators. And we see hummingbirds and woodpeckers. There's some video, if you look, of our bird feeders and stuff, and some stuff from when we had a good snow in the winter. That's where I took kind of the highlights. But yeah, and there's our little gnome of peace, our little Zen gnome that I had to have sitting there. There's little gnomes everywhere, but that's the big guy. I guess the last thing too, I'll show you this because it's doing really well. And I don't want to leave it out with a driveway garden, because last week it was all kind of green. Nothing but the boards was blooming, but now, a lot of it's blooming. The hollyhocks still haven't bloomed yet. We don't know what color they'll be this year, but there's just a whole lot going on here that we're really happy with and proud of. Because this was, when this started out, this was, when we moved in, this was just like a patch of gravel. Most of that, probably about half that, was a patch of gravel that someone had tried to extend the driveway. And, you know, we threw down some cardboard and some compost a couple years ago. I put down these logs to stop the compost from just washing away. And I add to it every now and then, and we've added to it about every year. And we just start planting things in it. Sometimes the first couple of years, a lot of weeds and stuff, but the kind of weeds that the bees like, so it was like whatever. But this has come a long way, and we'll even, the only funny thing is you get around the backside, and that's where the really pretty stuff is going on. What are these here, babe? Oh, the dianthus. That's what they are, see? I figured she was here. I would ask her instead of waiting for her to watch the video and then tell me what they are. But yeah, so that's the dianthus. Really pretty. A little shorter than everything else, but that's fine. And yeah, that's it. That's kind of the orchard and just an update on what's going on here in the driveway garden. I forgot that I wanted to get some good footage of that. Again, like I said, it's my favorite. Not just because I bought it. When I bought it, it was a little, you know, 2-foot high plant. That's been 3 years now. Definitely going to have to trim this. But okay, one more bonus. The foxgloves are blooming. Really happy with that here in the keyhole garden. I love foxgloves. They're just so unique, and the nice thing is these will spread seed everywhere. So yeah, real happy about the foxglove. So if you stuck around and you got to see the foxglove, you're welcome.